Well, basically, the judge turned around and confirmed that he was giving me a guilty verdict. Some of the things that he said alongside it, though, were extremely troubling. He turned around and says that he completely rejects the notion that this video was made as a joke. And he says that I made the video to be purposefully anti-Semitic, and that the reason that I made the video was to spread anti-Semitic hatred and encourage anti-Semitic hatred. And what worries me about that so much is I know my intentions. I know why I made the video, and it was to annoy my girlfriend. I know the truth. That is the reality of the situation. And what the judge has done is just completely rejected that and instead labelled me as an anti-Semite. And I've been found guilty of it, and then I'm due to be sentenced on the 23rd of April.
So they've raped your rights already, and now they're raping what you stand for and who you are.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's a huge attack on my character, because I don't exactly want to be known as that, especially when I know in my heart that that's not what I am. Like, I know what's in my head, and but however, I'm kind of having it dictated to me who I am.
Well, Mark, here's my issue. I mean, I know UK law, I know ours. I know they pass laws in Europe and there that are unconstitutional, but you argued, hey, I didn't mean this in this way. And I told you a year ago, I was like, man, I'd argue the whole thing's unconstitutional to begin with, because if somebody, now they're saying, oh, any they're saying arrest me for, criticizing young people that are anti-gun. I mean, you can see the slippery slope here.
Yeah, I can see it. It's whenever the government tries to get 1% of control over anything, they will spend all of their time and money and power trying to turn that 1% into 100%. And we've seen that all the way through history. And it's like any government in any way throughout history, is demonstrated throughout history, who has tried to curtail or stop freedom of speech has never, ever done so for honest reasons, ever in history.
Well, yeah, Tommy points this out. Paul Watson points this out in these videos. Hundreds of known jihadis saying, I'm going to murder, I'm going to kill. And they're brought into the country and allowed to go around and preach they're going to kill everybody. But then Tommy gets thrown in jail for stuff that even less than you're about to be thrown in jail, Tommy.
Is the worrying thing I'd say is that they've said, because it's a crime to be grossly offensive. Where does that stop? If I was to say to a Muslim,
that allows them to define it.
That's exactly what it does. If I was to say to a Muslim, for example, Lauren Southern, who's just been stopped from coming into the country, she said, Allah is gay. If a Muslim finds that grossly offensive, is that now a crime? Are you going to arrest someone for that? If I point out a fact that Muhammad was a paedophile, will I be arrested for that? And this seems to be, I'd say that they've got in through the back door to prevent people being able to criticise any religion. Because basically, if you set this as a precedent, which is what they do now with court cases, if someone's prosecuted, they will bring this case up and say the judge found that this man was guilty.
Sure, they're setting precedents. They're setting precedents.
They're setting precedents. They're setting precedents that, and the thing is, it is a complete joke. He says it's a joke. 3 million people watched this video.
It's more than that.
And none of them complained. None of them complained.
Well, of course, I mean, what they really fear is humor.
Well, what come out in court, Alex, was that this wasn't even, that the police went off their own back, off their own intelligence to come and arrest Mark. They also notified the press, which was unheard of, so that before he'd been interviewed, before he'd even been arrested, the press were waiting outside to photograph as one massive virtue signal. And that's basically what they've done.
Yeah.
But not that virtue signal now resulting in the possibility that he's going to...
Exactly, because for folks that don't know, under common law, English common law, U.S. common law, Magna Carta, all of that, people are supposed to make the report. It's seen as very dangerous when the government itself goes out and does this. So they went out, they virtue signaled, they got the media involved, knowing this would get a big viral attention. It was a viral story to set the precedent that even if you're more of a libertarian liberal, like Mark, and say I don't like Hitler, we're going to put your ass in prison. I mean, that is so dangerous. That's like you're living in North Korea or something, Mark. I mean, how is this for you to deal with?
Well, basically, I've spent the last part of 2 years not being able to actually find a job or anything. Like as soon as I get a job anywhere, within a week I get recognised and they just immediately fire me on the spot. The only reason that I have a job just now is I'm working part-time with friends, and pretty much the majority of my income comes from YouTube. There's other stuff as well where, like, I used to be a bouncer. That's what I used to do for a living, but I can't do that anymore. I've basically had employment-wise, I've had pretty much every door closed And it was even.
So
even
think
if I
about
got
this.
found-
Think about political correctness. Blackballing you, destroying you, blacklisting you, just destroying your life. I mean, this is authoritarianism.
It's called social consequences. What people will usually do is if they can't get you for your speech under the law, they'll do things called social consequences where they'll get the press to smear you, try and get your employers to fire you, and then if none of that works, what they usually do is turn up with masks on and beat you up and try and shut down your talks and deplatform you. It's just a classic far-left tactics is pretty much what it is.
Well, when we come back, I want to ask you guys how we strike back, because I think that they have really jumped the shark on this in a big way. And I want to ask you where we go and what we do. I mean, I think everybody should really use your case in solidarity. They should go to your Supreme Court. They've defamed you, saying in the media that they're taking this down because you hurt Jewish people. They're speaking for you, and that's a defamation right there. These bullies need to pay for what they're doing, trying to turn the UK into the very same anti-free speech prison that Europe is under the unelected dictatorship of the grandson of the richest Nazi family, Juncker. We'll be right back as we fight true Nazi policies in the name of fighting Nazis. Stay with us. Mark Meekin is facing up to 6 months in jail and a fine. He was just convicted of hurting people's feelings because he did Hitler Dog. The funny thing is, I have a video on YouTube called Hitler Dog. My late French bulldog that died last year, Captain, and he looked like he had a Hitler mustache. And so I made the point that, remember J.C. Penney? This is like 5 years ago now. J.C. Penney banned a teapot because the reflection on it might look like Hitler. That's like looking at a cloud and thinking it's a giraffe or broccoli. Would that be banned as well? Because it's obviously funny. Just like John Cleese did, just like everybody else has done, Charlie Chaplin, saying you're pro-Hitler but making a joke. But even if you want to be a Nazi, you've got that right. And to have your dog Heil Hitler, you could say, well, YouTube has its rules, you can't. Oh, but now you're arrested, see? That whole thing of, oh, it's their company. No, it wasn't even YouTube that did it. That's where this is going. That's the social justice warriors from the colleges in Europe, the UK, the US, Canada, Australia. They then are brought into the police departments. And it's frightening to see now radical Islamists being put in as police chiefs and mayors all over the place. And by the way, I think this was funnier than the great dictator Charlie Chaplin's, which is great, well done. I think this is funnier than John Cleese. I think Chaplin's better than John Cleese at the Hitler imitations. And this is better. This is better than John Cleese. I'm serious. This is better than John Cleese. This is better than Charlie Chaplin. And his name's Mark Meekin. And he isn't getting a show on the BBC, baby. He's going to prison, where we know he'll be targeted. He just said he's getting fired, losing everything. So, Mark, I love the fact you have a good, jolly attitude about this. But, man, people, that's the problem with patriots, though. Just normal, common sense folks. We're not wimps. We don't grandstand. Everybody should be decrying this, my friend. I mean, you need to be given TV shows for your comedy genius. And in fact, where is the original Hitler Dog? What's the original name? Where is it mirrored? All I have is Paul playing a clip of it. Where do we find this forbidden fruit?
YouTube removed it. I haven't got it re-uploaded anywhere else because the original crime itself was actually me posting the video online, like me being in the video and stuff like that.
So maybe I should fly to the UK, publicly upload this at Speaker's Corner. I mean, or John Cleese. If you notice, John Cleese has come out and said this is wrong.
I didn't know. I didn't see that.
No, I mean, he's come out and said all this political correctness is very dangerous.
Oh, political correctness, yeah. Political correctness is essentially just trying to curtail comedy as a whole. Is essentially, people seem to think that just because they get offended, they have some kind of right. That immediately means that my opinion trumps everybody else's in the rooms because my feelings are hurt. And that's not how it works. But for some reason, society's starting to believe that that is how things work. It's a case of they're your emotions, you manage them. Don't expect everybody else in the world to change just because you can't manage your own feelings.
Well, I mean, why did the Jewish leader go and say it was grossly offensive? Doesn't he understand that's like Nazi Germany to lock somebody up for their speech?
Oh, that's his job. That's in the position it is. His job is to find the outrage. I actually have a very large fan base in Israel. All of them are practicing Jews, and one thing that they really don't like being perpetuated is the victim complex. See if there's something that is like a genuine case of anti-Semitism. Like, for example, there was a Jewish family-owned business that got burned down in France, and the police suspect that it was a Muslim gang that actually did it. That is a clear case of anti-Semitism, and that's the type of stuff they actually want to bring attention to. Or if people are actually being attacked, like physically attacked for being Jewish, then those are the type of things that people in Israel want the attention onto. But a lot of people from Israel have actually wrote to and emailed Efrem Borowski basically saying, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you wasting your time on this? This clearly isn't anti-Semitism. Even though they were like, we didn't like the joke, we thought it was tasteless, but fucking hell, don't try and send the guy to prison. So a lot of Jews around the world are actually very unhappy with what's actually happened with this entire thing, even if they didn't like the joke itself.
All right, we caught both those, but we're on a bunch of commercial radio stations and TV stations, so please don't cuss anymore. I understand you can in the UK. It's no big deal, Mark. You're not bad. It's just that our delay then has to build back up, so we want to do that for our affiliates. Tommy, you've been sitting here very quietly. You're a man who first rang the alarm bell. They lied about you. They put you in prison for you lost your house. The Muslims tried to kill you. I mean, what is it like seeing this expand and see the UK? I mean, I'm pinching myself. This is truly authoritarian. This is super dangerous in the country where free speech in the modern tense 800 years ago began.
What it's like for me is I know full well what it's like to go through a court case and to have it hanging over your head, which is why when I met Mark and I speak to him, I'd ask, how is it for your mother? This isn't just a sentence. Even the fact that they've put it off for another month now, even the fact that they could have dealt with it today, but it's still to teach a lesson, still for the longer, so that this cloud's hanging over you, you're constantly worrying. I watched today as his missus, and they sat and held hands. I watched the panic and the fear on her face and the worry on her face, and that's what gets to me, because I know what my wife's gone through, I know what my mum's gone through, I know what my children go through, so I know when they're doing this to Mark, they're doing it to his family. And I know that this attack, which is a current attack that we're witnessing, whilst I say I don't want to sound like I think it's good, but anything that highlights to the public and to the world just how far our country shifted, I think is beneficial in the sense of we need the public to be awake to this. We need people to realise this, because it's like a chip. They chip away at our rights and our freedoms. And over the last 10 days, what with Brittany Pettibone, Martin Selner, Lauren Southern, Lutz Backman, and now Mark, it's all there for the world to see. Everyone can see that we now live, how we're living under authoritarian.
And the reason it's important is, I'll see headlines, BBC, 5,000 racists arrested, police secretly overheard them in cafes saying political incorrectness. I saw that 6-7 years ago. So it's going on behind the scenes. Most people get too scared to speak out. You guys are speaking out. That's the final piece of the equation, bringing this evil, this creeping death out in the open, Tommy.
This is to send a message. What they've done to Mark is to send a message. And this message works, unfortunately, that people who would have been making jokes and making crude comments and having a laugh and a bit of banter about religions, be it Judaism, Christianity or Islam, will now be scared to. They will now be scared to. And that's why for the last 10 years or for longer, people have been walking on eggshells and treading on eggshells, constantly scared. And these actions by the government and the police only add to that. And they know that. And they know that. And that's what this is about. This is about silencing the public so that no one will challenge what they're doing. No one will speak up and no one will even be able to joke. This is how far it's gone. It's gone that far that rather than people making crude comments or speaking online in a negative way about religions, people having a joke. Part of being British is, and what people realise is whether it be distasteful or dark humour, that's what British people find funny, and that's what they've now made against the law. And I said there is an option to appeal this. There is an option to appeal this, but it costs how much? They say. I think
he estimated it would be around £50,000.
So they win again.
Well, you need to have lawyers and barristers come forward. There needs to be organizations that are pro-free speech. You're having your whole future stolen. And again, when Charlie Chaplin did The Dictator, where it looks pro-Hitler and he's bouncing the world off his butt, you could say someone is offended by that. I think it makes Hitler look like he's in a good light. Obviously, it doesn't. You can't operate like this. This is pure tyranny.
It's actually gotten to the point. The thing that frightens me the most is the fact that your intent and context do not matter. It's the case of you know exactly what you meant by what you said, but another person who's...
But you said I don't like Hitler. You said I don't like Nazis, so it's going to be fine to make the dog do something bad. But you should be able to say, I like them. Even, you know, it's crazy. We'll be right back. It's unbelievable. It's total authoritarianism. And then we get into it and go, oh, we didn't mean it like that. They don't care. They are the ones bringing in the Hitler lovers. They are the ones bringing in the Islamists. They are the ones crushing the West. They are the globalists. They are the plague. Hitler wanted to get rid of free speech and Christianity. They are the enemy. They are Hitler. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back live, and I didn't even think to ask. After he's been convicted of being a thought criminal, our guest, Mark Meekin, is here with the great Tommy Robinson. They're in London. And I said, where is Hitler Dog? And I'm going to out the dog. Buddha is the real name of his girlfriend's pug, a very handsome, very large pug. I noticed his feet were up earlier, and I said, get those down. That's more prison time, a double Heil Hitler. But we're joking here. So Mark and Tommy, introduce the world to the dreaded Hitlerian creature.
This is Buddha, future Chancellor of the Fourth Reich. This is apparently the dog that I was using as a smokescreen, to quote the prosecutor's own words, to secretly spread my truly Nazi and anti-Semitic views. He says that I was basically trying to use this beast to turn everyone in Britain into Nazis. That's pretty much what the prosecutor said.
By the way, that's critical to the left, because they know there's not a lot of real Nazis. They want to see everything's coded and want to arrest you for the coded stuff so they can then go after everybody. And that's what they have said. When I said Brian Stelter looks like a demon, they said, well, he's not really Jewish, Mr. Jones. I never said Brian Stelter was Jewish. It's like mental illness. I said, Brian Stelter looks like a demon. And they go, Jones only said it because he thought he's Jewish, but he's not. And then I never said that. I said, who would put out PR photos where they have this demonic-looking Joker grin? You know, I'm not saying that... you know, the guy that plays the Joker, Jack Nicholson's Jewish either. I mean, it's like it's like seeing Hitler in the teapot. Can we see Hitler Dog again, please? I'm sorry. Buddha.
Oh,
Hey, you guys call Buddha back. Sorry. Buddha's a rock star. Well, you guys have got the floor for the time we've got left. I'm ranting. What else do you want to impart to listeners and viewers?
There's not really much else I can say, except, like, all of this is pretty much his fault. Like, I just held the camera. Like, I didn't really do anything. It's all him.
Look at his face as well. This is what it's all about. He could be going to jail because of this.
I really like that. That's a good-looking pug.
It's
Well, you know, he's actually Japanese and English, because French Bulldogs originally got bred down by the lace makers there and then exported to Ladies of the Night in Paris. That's how they got popularized 250 years ago. But the pug, I guess, is, you know, from like China and Japan, or like part of what it is. So this is not a Nazi dog here.
No, a lot of people, especially the media, don't seem to realise that a dog can't exactly choose its place on the political spectrum. But yeah,
that's a good-looking animal. I bet your girlfriend likes Buddha.
Oh, she likes him more than me. Yeah, easily.
Which is what the joke was about.
Yeah, that pretty much was it. I just wanted to piss her off, and I might be going to jail for it.
What does your girlfriend think about this now?
She's just, well, she's not angry at me anymore. She's kind of angry mostly at the justice system and stuff like that, just for all the shit that's basically we've been put through over the last 2 years. She just really wants this to be over and just wants it to move on. Nazi Pug as a whole has been pretty much a dead meme for quite a while now, but the courts are keeping it alive for some reason. But I just kind of want this. I'm hoping it'll finally come to an end, you know, next month, better for worse. Hopefully for better.
Well, I've seen a lot of cute pugs, but that's a particularly cute pug right there. He looks really sweet. Is Buddha a boy?
Yeah, he's a boy. He's not happy being up here, though.
We just use an improper gender pronoun, actually. You get some prison time for that in California.
Z.
Misgendering my dog.
Z.
That's actually a cat. What if your dog identifies as a cat?
I don't know. I'll need to ask him.
But seriously... they're talking 6 months fines. What do you, I mean, I guess if you grovel to them and apologize, they might not let you get prison time. But if you don't roll over and get down on your knees before the authoritarian judge and people, I guess they're going to throw the book at you.
Yeah, it's up to a year. I could actually get in prison. It's up to a year.
Oh, I got to let Paul change his article. A year. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, it's a case of I have absolutely no idea at this point. They're basically deferring sentence for background reports, but one of the things that I would need to do as well is I need to visit a court social worker so that I can get an assessment to see whether or not they should slap a restriction of liberty. I can't remember the full name of it, but it's a restriction of liberty order on me, which basically means that I would need to wear a GPS tracker tag and I would be under house arrest until I'm sentenced in April. So that's something that I need to do in the next few days as well.
Well, so they want to silence you, punish you more. This is the vicious authoritarian left that when they get full power, always shoot you in the back of the head and shovel you into graves. That's where this train ends. We know where it ends, and this is what's coming to the U.S. I'd say the UK is about 2 years behind Europe. Germany, Sweden, everywhere. That's already there. Former Stasi hired to run Facebook. Now it's in the UK. Now it's coming here. They mean business. So we sit around and we joke about all this, ladies and gentlemen. This is deadly, deadly serious. Doesn't matter your ancestors were bombed by the Nazis or fought the Nazis. Doesn't matter. It's projected by people who actually are what I call the cultural and spiritual children of the Nazis. Tommy, Mark, any other key points?
I'll just say that it's ongoing. I know that we had a triumphant day last Sunday for free speech in Speaker's Corner in London, but this is when that's the only positive I'll take from it. When they make these decisions, when they do this, it's for the world to see, and thankfully for shows like this, and thankfully for the internet. Because if it wasn't for that, if they get their way, no one would even be knowing about this case, because everyone will be silenced eventually. And that's the route we see it going down. I don't know if you saw Sadiq Khan last week was in Texas. I interviewed a lady yesterday. You should probably have her on your show, Alex. I interviewed a lady yesterday. She's a Muslim lady. She was born a Muslim. She was into a forced marriage. She was raped. She experienced all the bad parts from the cultural problems that are within Islam. And then she Sadiq Khan put a tweet out about knife crime. And she replied saying, if someone takes a knife and hacks away at the vagina of a child, will the full force of the law come down on them? Now, what he did is he spoke in Texas, and his speech was about hate speech. And it's all about this. It's all about silencing and stopping people talking. And he used her tweet as an example of hate speech. I interviewed her yesterday. She's a gorgeous lady. So she's born a Muslim. She's now an ex-Muslim. She fights for Muslim children and Muslim women who are still within it for their rights. And here's Sadiq Khan putting her up on a pedestal as a hate preacher. He's actually using one of the victims of these crimes to try and silence other people who want to talk about it. I saw this.
Tell people the lady's name when I can see the interview, but I saw pieces of it. This was incredible about the leftists and the Islamicists. They know that it's Islam that's cutting the genitals off. They know the left doesn't know that. So he uses this threatening tweet he got saying somebody wants to cut his genitals off or something when he knows full well it's a woman saying, help us, they're hurting us. He takes how she's been abused and raped and sliced, and he makes it about him, a perfect Islamic man, a perfect piece of filth.
Shazia Hobbs, her name was, and our interview will be going out probably today, tomorrow. But she wrote a letter to Sadiq Khan about it. She wrote a letter to him,
and then he used it to spin it that she was talking about chopping at him.
Yeah, he used it as a part of the hate speech that he faces. Do you know what else he spoke about? One of the things he said, I get called a pigeon. So what? So what if you get called a pigeon?
You're a public figure. Yeah. There's no free speech back in Pakistan or wherever you came from.
Do you know the worst thing is, the most frustrating thing is in this circumstances, when you look at what Mark's just been prosecuted on. If I read you this, I've received this today. I receive these every day. No one's ever prosecuted. I hope you are forced to watch as your family have their veins ripped from their arms, yeah? This is a man who's calling me a fucking excuse my language, I forgot. Yeah. But this is a man who's threatening death upon my family. Now, that doesn't qualify under their hate speech because I'm white, straight, and working class. But anyone says anything against a minority, that's where there's no level playing field. It's not like we're
just... And Muslims are a majority, and they're taking over. Tommy, I want to talk to you both as this unfolds. Let's talk about your YouTube, where people can go. YouTube.com/Count Dankula. Twitter, Count Dankula TV. Mark, thank you. Tommy, thank you. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, man.
And I want to I want to bring that lady here who Twitter kicked off and who they're reporting on.
We will make America great again.